What is up? It is Jonathan Scales. How are you guys doing out there? A lot of you guys know me as a musician, but if you've been following me for any time in the past 10 years or so, you know that I really love to study languages. You might have noticed that I'm always posting language videos all the time where maybe I'm speaking Chinese or speaking Japanese or Spanish or German or Hebrew. And whenever I post these language videos, I always get messages from my friends asking me about my methods, asking me what I'm using to learn. This is long overdue, but I decided to put together a list of just 5 things that could be helpful for you on your language learning journey, no matter what language you're learning. But before we go into the 5 tips, I'm going to give you one free tip. I think that's important to diversify where you're getting your information from. So I don't believe in just using one source. So I don't believe in just using an app or just watching movies in a certain language or just speaking with your friends. I think that language learning is most effective when you're kind of getting it from as many angles as possible. I believe doing it that way really kind of strengthens your understanding, your comprehension of the language as you're progressing. Tip 1, language apps. Yes, I mentioned earlier to don't just use one source, but this is one of the sources that we're going to use. So whether it's Duolingo or Rosetta Stone or Babbel or one of the Pimsleur products or anything like that, I feel like those programs are really good at just giving you little bits of vocabulary little by little and just kind of starting to immerse you in it slowly. A problem with those apps, they don't really explain a lot of things, so they try to get you to learn in context, and that's really good, but sometimes in our adult brains we need just a little explanation that will help everything else to kind of click for us.
Man sagt, dass die Artikel sehr wichtig sind, aber für mich ist es eher langweilig.
And that's something that those apps don't necessarily offer. That's why that's just one. So like I use Duolingo all the time. When I first learned Spanish, I used Rosetta Stone as one of my sources. Also, those language apps are really built to kind of keep your interest in the language, which is really cool. Especially with Duolingo, the way they give you rewards and all these things, it makes it kind of like a game. Duolingo, Rosetta Stone, all those things, it's not the end all be all, but it's something fun that can just help to push you along with the language. Tip 2, YouTube grammar tutorials. I know it sounds silly, but those always save my life because I'm someone that would like to understand the nuts and bolts of how something's working in order for me to grasp it.
お金がないから because I have no money 行けないです I can't go. Notice that the verb.
And just like I was saying with Duolingo and Rosetta Stone, they don't do a lot of explaining. So sometimes it's nice to go to a YouTube grammar tutorial and have someone really analyze and break it down for you so that maybe it might unlock something in your brain for you to learn it in a different way.
המכונית האדומה, the red car, versus מכונית אדומה, which is a red car. Okay?
And for you to really understand why a verb is conjugating a certain way, or understand exactly what the difference is between the preterite and the past continual in Spanish, for example. Tip 3, when you're first starting off in language, I think it's important to keep a database of your vocabulary. Keep a database of your verbs, keep a database of your nouns, adjectives. And what makes this a really useful tool is that you can put together these practice sentences for yourself. In Spanish, for example, if you want to practice saying that you want something, take a practice sentence like, yo quiero comer, I want to eat. And then just switch out that last part with other verbs to kind of get you in the flow of speaking. Yo quiero comer, yo quiero tomar, yo quiero jugar, yo quiero practicar, yo quiero estudiar, yo quiero ir. And then take that and then switch out another part of it. Él quiere jugar, él quiere practicar, él quiere estudiar. No queremos estudiar. Ellos no quieren estudiar. And this is a useful tool that I like to do whenever I study any language because it's a good way for me to kind of like, it's almost like working out or lifting weights for your brain with language. Just taking each little part of the sentence and being able to switch it out one by one to kind of build your comfort in language and also to kind of build those muscles that it takes to speak well. אני רוצה לאכול, אני רוצה לקרוא, אני רוצה לשתות. Tip number 4, talking to real people. And I know that seems like a super obvious one, but if you're anything like me, I get really self-conscious actually. Even though I love studying languages and it's a huge hobby of mine, I'm also such a perfectionist that sometimes I'm actually afraid to try things out. 我要口罩。谢谢。So I tend to study a language and then not want to use it when I'm faced in a situation where I have to use it, or in a situation where I can learn something. So I have to force myself to try to say things to people who I know speak a certain language.
We vinden het erg leuk om in Eindhoven te spelen.
まだチキと残ってます。会場また来てください。
Et au club de jazz Le Baiser Salé à Paris le 14 novembre.
I have to force myself to really try to communicate with them, because what you can do is, for one, when you fail and you make a mistake, which you will, when someone corrects you on your mistake, as embarrassing as that is, you actually learn faster. And also, hearing real people talk is a nice way to get away from the computerized voices of Duolingo and Rosetta Stone. And it just gives you a real life sense of the inflections, the accents. You learn new vocabulary, and speaking with real people gives you a good chance to ask questions. Obviously, this is one of the more important tips, because that's what language is all about, communicating with other people. That's why we do it.
Sí, más turístico aquí en...
Más extranjeros.
Más extranjeros, sí.
Entonces, ¿qué le parece nuestro músico? Tip 5. Music, TV shows, and movies. When I'm first learning a new language, one thing I like to do is watch baby shows. I know it sounds crazy, but a lot of times after studying for a few months, it's like I'm on a baby level. So I watch a show like Pocoyo in Spanish.
Jabón, un cepillo y una toalla. ¿Y qué es lo que vas a hacer con eso?
And I feel like I'm actually getting it, as opposed if I just jump in and start trying to watch telenovelas.
No me amenace, Luis Eduardo. No me amenace.
It's going to be really tough. So start at the level where you are and watch baby shows, because you will learn new vocabulary. You will feel a sense of accomplishment by connecting your vocabulary and everything that you've worked on with this new experience, while at the same time picking up new vocabulary. And the same thing with music. Just take it little by little. Take one song that you really like, that resonates with you, and then just go online and look up the lyrics and just look at it line by line. And that, like I said, that's another way to pick up new vocabulary, new expressions, and this is fun. So I hope you've enjoyed my 5 tips for learning languages. And the next time I post a language video, if you send me a direct message asking me how I do it, I'm just going to send you this video, because this is what I tell everybody. And yeah, that's what I do. That's my method. And also, another free tip is you got to be a little crazy. And what I mean by that is, if you really want to learn language, you really have to immerse yourself. And to some people, they say that you have to move to another country or things like that, but you can also immerse yourself in the comfort of your own home through reading books, watching movies, listening to podcasts, listening to the news, watching interviews in the language you're trying to learn. That's another way to just get it into your brain, and to get it to be a part of you, so that when you do go out into the world, you're just that much more prepared. So have fun on your language learning journey, and good luck.